came here expecting some more arm workout tips. Another lecture about how to supersize your freaking pipes. Well, guess what? I'm throwing a wrench in your chain today. Nothing to do with growing your freaking arms. We've got a lovely anonymous guest here today to fire at me 10 to 20 randomized questions while I sip on a whiskey cider. The Macho Man Randy Savage. You can tell Vince McMahon, the Macho Man Randy Savage is the Intercontinental Champion of the world. Oh yeah. I'm the cream of the crop. Okay.
The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better than the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no. Question number 1.
Okay, ready?
Born ready.
What's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is orange because I think I love the sun.
Think so?
I think that's why. Subconsciously, maybe. From a young age, orange has always been my favorite color. Don't have to think about it.
Ready?
I'm still here.
What's your second favorite dinosaur?
My second favorite dinosaur. So first, I got to figure out what my first favorite dinosaur is and then work backwards. So it's a very good question. Very applicable. My first favorite dinosaur is probably the Triceratops. It kind of looks like a rhino, but it's like a rhino on steroids. And it sounds like triceps. Triceratops. So then after that, I would probably pick the long neck grazers. What are they called? Yeah, the old long neck grazers. Like the giraffe dinosaurs. Yeah, they just seem dope. Like that would be my second favorite dinosaur. That's your first favorite? Oh wow. My God. Yeah, T-Rex is like my least favorite. Moving forward.
What is a skill or talent that you're
A skill or talent that I'm proud of. Probably my ability to calculate numbers in my head, mental math. Although the majority of the time useless. Occasionally, in the grocery store, you're trying to figure out how much you're paying for a certain amount of foodage. And I could do the conversions in my head to figure out what the better deal is. There's some instances where it comes in handy. Yeah, it's useful. Sometimes it's like unnecessary, and I'm like crunching like the menu of a restaurant to figure out like if the prices are optimized or like how much value you're getting for each meal. And it's like, buddy, chill. Just enjoy the meal, man. Maybe relax. Yeah, give me a numerical task. Yeah, strength with numbers, mental mathematics.
What does success mean?
Success. Holy shit. Probably getting such a sick, wicked, nasty arm pump that I can't wipe my butthole. Yeah. What do I wish I was better at? Like picking up on people's emotions.
Okay, Elon Musk.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like very literal and like logical. And then I'm like aware if somebody's upset, but I don't usually understand why until afterwards. Or like social dynamics. Like I have to like manually think. You already know this, but I have to like think about it to like figure out. Like I can pick up on the energy and like why people are doing, or like I don't know why. I can sense what's going on, but then I have to like manually like think about it and reflect to figure out like why did this person react negatively, this and that. And it's just like not my. So I've gotten better at it, but I wish I had more of that skill because it's extremely useful to know how to like socially navigate. Yeah.
You like me?
I really like you. I get asked that question at least once a day, every day. Hey, babe, do you like me? Just wondering. I know yesterday you said you like me, but I thought I'd check in again just to see if today you still like me. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you seemed a little grumpy this morning. Maybe you don't like me anymore, so I just check in to see.
Okay. Just kidding. What's your favorite snack?
My favorite snack. What's my favorite snack? The first thing that comes to mind is dried mango dipped in Adam's peanut butter. Ooh. You know, yeah, Adam's butthole poop. Adam, my friend Adam's butthole
That's what
paste. Adam's Chunky, the brand of peanut butter. Dip a mango in there. I'm not eating poop. Okay, I'm not eating fucking poop covered mangoes. Maybe I am. Who knows? Could be high protein content.
Are you more introverted or extroverted?
Oh, I would say like right in the middle, maybe. I get,
Dependent upon the people.
yeah, I get burnt out. Like I'm one of those people where I come in with a full tank, and then, you know, I enjoy being social, but I like burn out after a few hours, and then I like need to be alone. And some people just like they get energized from social situations, social interactions. That's not me. But I'm not an ambivert. Yeah, I think I'm like in the middle. I enjoy alone. I like being alone, but I need to be alone. I'm probably more introverted than extroverted. But in social situations, a lot of people wouldn't think I was an introvert because I'm very like interactive. Yeah, and I can be very friendly and outgoing. I just don't have a lot of stamina.
Yeah. I think it's contingent upon the people you're around.
For sure. If I had to pick one, I would say I'm an introvert. Because I can like sit in a room. I could sit on my computer and edit all day and not be bothered. Whereas extroverts can't do that. They need to fucking get out and interact with people.
That's a good deciding factor. Do you believe in God?
Do I believe in God? Yeah, I believe in God. I do. Yeah, I don't really subscribe to like a specific religion, but I believe in God. I believe in a higher power, and I pray occasionally.
What's your favorite?
For gains, mostly. The god of gains. My favorite kind of cheese? Holy shit, what a fucking zinger of a question. I like mozzarella. I like softer, squishy cheeses. Like that jalapeno one we had. I don't think it was mozzarella, but like that genre of cheese. Yeah, mozzarella. Yeah, Havarti, kind of softer, like white, squishy cheeses.
You didn't like the cheese ball as much.
I didn't like the cheese ball.
More for me. What's your favorite place?
My favorite place that I visited, probably Hong Kong.
Why?
Hong Kong is like, at least when I went in 2018, 2017 maybe it was. Something like that. Because there's been a lot of political instability, so I couldn't really speak to exactly what it's like now. But it was the most fantastical place. It was like getting on an airplane and going to another planet. And you have this mash of, because for people that don't know, Hong Kong had been a British colony, part of the British Empire for many years. And now, more recently, it's been handed over, or they've relinquished control. And there's supposed to be a period of grace, and then the Chinese government is trying to take over. I don't want to bore you. But anyways, it's a mash of Eastern and Western cultures. So you've got the, obviously, Chinese influence mixed with the British influence, the accent is like so strange. It's like British, like imagine like a British Chinese accent. It's maybe like a little ignorant of a way to describe it, but like generally that's the best way to imagine. And yeah, it's just like such a unique place. There's a shitload of money because it's a financial center. There's low taxes, so big companies all have their financial headquarters, and also for legal services. So you just have like tons of money and this extremely unique blend of people and culture in this wacky, fantastical, like semi-tropical climate right on the ocean. Big part of it is on an island. I don't know, it's just like the most unique, wacky, crazy freaking place I've ever been.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Didn't know all that about
Hong Kong.
What annoys you?
What annoys?
Between what do you hate
Yeah.
and what kind of like is like the in between hate
Yeah.
and like
I gotcha. Annoyance. People walking close behind me is one thing I can think of right off rip. It fucking drives me insane. I'll slow down. I'm a slow walker, as you know. I do not move at a fast pace. I float through life, drifting with the wind. And if somebody's walking like closely behind me, I don't know why, it drives me nuts. I'll slow down to let them go. And the worst is when you slow down and they don't go past you, which is like a Canadian thing. People are like too polite to take up space. So they'll just slow down and just continue to walk behind. I've stopped and moved over and been like, go by. I don't know why. That's one thing that's like maybe weird, but I just can't stand it when people are walking right behind me. If it's like a busy street and there's people everywhere, but if it's like a hall, like yesterday in the gym, in the hallway to the change room, somebody was walking right behind me, and I like went all the way over to the one side of the corridor to leave them space, and I like slowed down even more. Because if your speed is like similar to theirs, you're not going slow enough for them to pass you. It's like kind of awkward to do the pass.
yeah.
Right? So I'll slow down even more. I'll be like, I'm not going to speed up. I don't walk fast. But so if you want to go by, I'm going to slow down even more. I'm going to move over. And he just stayed right behind me. And then once we got into the change room, we went separate ways, and he was like staring at me. He like looked at me like this to like see who I was. Because he was probably annoyed, right?
Yeah.
But there's plenty of room to go around.
You're given the opportunity, bud.
Yeah, it was just a stupid thing that doesn't fucking matter. But for whatever reason, it pisses me off. It annoys me when people walk behind me.
Well, but that's the purpose of the question, because it's not like an intense thing. It's just something.
Yeah, a mild annoyance.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like gonna flip out or anything. Maybe I will.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about yourself physically?
My cock. My 3 testicles. I got a tri-ball sitch going on down low. It's quite a phenom. Like that guy with 2 cocks. My favorite thing about myself physically? Oh boy. I mean, the arms would be the easy question, or the easy answer, but that's a very interesting question. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I guess probably oh my god, you're sliding. Oh, the fuzzy couch is imploding. Oh my god, you're gonna be stuck. Yeah. I never really maybe my thinking about all my physical attributes.
Some of these things were meant to.
Certain thing that I like.
A lot of them they could have taken.
I guess the arms. I'm going with the arms. Biceps.
What is your favorite thing about yourself that is not physical?
That is not physical. Favorite thing about myself. Oh. I would say I genuinely care about other people, which a lot of people declare that because it's a very admirable moral trait to have. And I have many flaws that are not admirable, but in my life experience, when I meet people, I think I give them a unusual, genuine, positive opportunity. And I'm actually curious and interested about people in general that I meet and what they're talking about. And I don't think that's very common. I think a lot of people need to justify themselves within the context of a circumstance or a conversation. And although I'm not immune to that, I don't have a high desire of that. And I'm more interested to learn and understand somebody else. And then as a result, I think that leads to a higher degree of genuine actually giving a fuck of like, who is this person? Like, what are you into? Like, well, I'll get really into, like, if you're talking about something you're interested in, like I'll really invest, and not like purposely, just kind of by default, in like understanding that thing. And I'll ask you a whole bunch of questions, and I'm like, and I'll think about it afterwards and be like, oh man, I wonder why they're doing this and that. Maybe this would help them. And so yeah, that's just like a natural thing that I've always done. Genuinely interested in people. Yeah, without like obsessing about myself and within the context of fairly objective at just like being able to take somebody in and not get worried or offended about what my own position is in regards to them. Thanks, Beeb.
What is your least favorite thing about yourself?
Ooh. Probably it's something to do with like obsessiveness, and I get fixated on things pretty easily. And sometimes like particularly dealing with, like, if it's just me and I get obsessed and fixated with something, then like I deal with the consequences myself. But in social interactions, if I'm like working with somebody or I'm talking to somebody about something and I'm like, I can get fixated on like trying to get them to like see it a certain way or to like have appreciation for another perspective. And I'll like kind of persistently force something that maybe has reasonable grounds and I feel passionately about, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like I should have stopped at stage 2, you know? Instead, I'll take it all the way to stage 10, and then I'll be like, and then I'll reflect later and be like, why the fuck didn't I just like take a deep breath and be like, it doesn't matter that much that they don't want to see this aspect of it, or that they're thinking this differently, or that we're trying to decide what to do and they don't want to include this factor. Like in the grand scheme of things, usually it's pretty insignificant, but in the moment, certain things, some things are not a big deal, but certain things I'll get fixated on and I can't unfixate in the moment, in the short term. And then I feel like guilty or like a little bit regretful afterwards. So I'm like, I really probably didn't need to keep pushing that point. And now I feel kind of bad. But even being aware of it, sometimes I still can't help it. It's kind of like a default setting. Like it's just obsessiveness and fixation into like details of things. It's just like the way I operate. So if I'm like working by myself, like I will pay the consequence of like not sleeping because I'm like trying to complete a fucking problem or a solution. And that's all on me. But in the context of working with other people or like in a relationship or with friends, is like that'll spill onto like the friendship or onto them. And then I feel like kind of bad about it afterwards. So I'm like, I probably should have just chilled. Yeah.
What's your least favorite thing about yourself physically?
Probably my anterior pelvic tilt. I just really hate the way it looks. Excessive arch through the lower back kind of thing. I like activate my core to like hide it, but I've always been kind of insecure about that. I don't like it. And it caused problems in the hips too. There's like physical like discomfort. It's not just an aesthetic thing. And it's like all connected to other dysfunction in the body, but particularly the lower back and like hips area. Yeah, I really don't like that.
I can edit this part out, but I was like maybe you're already aware of this, and I was too, but then I'd be like just learning about this, like put it more on my radar. But a lot of times the anterior pelvic tilt, it leads to or is caused by, it's kind of both.
Yeah.
The quads being pretty
It's one of many factors.
And so like just being aware of that, like I'll like tighten my hamstrings and like help with the tuck a little bit more so it's not all back.
From a
And then trying to stretch my quads. And then I don't know, it's helped a little bit with the activation.
from a mechanical standpoint, it is helpful to understand that a lack of tension or strength in your glutes and hamstrings and your quads and your core, because those things are going to tilt your hips the other way. If you squeeze your glutes or if you pull your core in, that'll reduce the anterior tilt.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if the quads are tight or the lower back is tight, that's pulling the pelvis more into that direction.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to understand the like anatomy or biomechanics, but that's not the only ingredient.
Right.
Like a lot of times the issue with like anterior pelvic tilt doesn't get just fixed by being like, oh, weak hamstrings, glutes, and lower core, and like tight quads and lower back. It's like an ingredient you need to understand, but for most people that wouldn't be enough to like significantly shift the problem.
Totally. It wasn't just personally, it was an aspect that like I was like, oh, I feel like I like pay attention to that because I'm so fixated on hip and glute and fucking.
Yeah. I'm surprised you never picked up on that from any of my videos. I've talked about that fucking thing so many times. Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And just like the past 2 days, I've been smoking my radar.
Right. Oh, you don't really have a substantial anterior pelvic tilt.
Maybe I do. It's just you think it's my butt.
I can examine more closely, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you don't. Your lower back doesn't have an excessive arch in it. Definitely not.
Good. I'm working on it.
But you could still have a slight anterior pelvic tilt. It's very possible.
Gotcha.
Or you can experience hip dysfunction and pain without having an anterior pelvic tilt too. It's just one.
Just one small aspect.
Yeah.
What is something that you know to be true, but no one else knows it?
I don't want to make it political. I was just thinking about the video we watched this morning.
Well, what if nobody else?
Oh, nobody else knows.
Yeah, it could be anything. It could be like personal or life or whatever.
Nobody else knows?
What you think nobody else knows?
Or could we say what most people don't know? Because like for it to be nobody else knows, it almost has to be like a secret about myself. Maybe that's what you're trying to get at.
That could be an easier answer. In the moment.
That nobody else knows. What something I know to be true that nobody else knows? Fuck, I don't know.
Perhaps it could be a little bit theoretical.
I don't even.
I know it's the hardest question.
Yeah. Something. Okay, can I do something that I know to be true, but that most people don't know?
Sure. Just for the sake of.
Because otherwise, I'm just like I don't even know what my answer is.
I know it's so hard.
I have to think of something that's like a secret or something. But it has to be something like personal about myself.
Yeah, that'd be easier.
But even a lot of that, somebody knows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're just trying to get me to reveal a deep, dark secret. That's what you're trying to do.
I already know.
Maybe there's something you don't know. That most people don't know. There's probably something to do with like money in the economy. Like that you're gonna make very little. You're almost never gonna get rich from investing, and you're almost never gonna beat the market either. And the market return is like maybe 7 or 8%, depending on which market or what you're looking at investing in. But roughly speaking, if you're putting it into a stock market of some kind, then or some derivative of that, then 7% is maybe a good like annual average over the past like 50 years. But then when you factor in for inflation, that goes down to like 4 or 5%. So then you think about like you're making in real terms like 4 or 5% return. And then you think about how big the financial industry is in terms of like total volume. it's like a huge, one of the biggest sectors in the U.S. economy, let's say, and a lot of Western economies. And they're fucking around trying to sort out how to get returns on this 4% net return. And you realize it's all just like a big scam. The reason they're doing it is because they collect fees. So they sell you on being able to get a higher return and being able to get wealthy from investing, which you don't do. You don't get wealthy from investing. You can protect your wealth, you can grow your wealth, but you're not going to get rich from you get rich from your income, from your earnings. That's how you make money. Unless you already have $20 million, then, a strategy to get 6% return, return instead of 5 makes a big difference on $20 million. But if you're the average person and you don't have any savings, or you have 50 grand saved up, it makes no freaking difference. And it's a complete waste of your time and energy and your human capital to spend that on trying to grow the small amount of savings. You should invest all of that into your earnings, your job, more education, a new business. That's how you get rich. And so many people nowadays are fucking day trading or downloading investment accounts, crypto, whatever. And the return, I just use the stock market as an example, is like so small when you actually look at the numbers. And the majority of people aren't going to beat that. And the people that do are like investors with huge amounts of money that can manipulate the market, or like work in investment banks. The average person that just downloads their phone, an app, and tries to beat the market, you're not going to do it. It's a waste of your money. It's a waste of your time and money. And the reason that people are doing it is because they're being sold on the idea that they could get rich. So they go for it. But basically nobody actually benefits from it. And I did my master's in economics, for nobody that knows. And I was looking at investment returns on real estate in Canada in correlation with the increase in house prices. But then I also was looking at investment returns in other markets as a substitute. And that's kind of when I realized that. I was looking at the data and I was like, you could put your money into something. I'm not saying don't invest it. But one, you're not going to get rich from doing that if you don't have a lot of money to start. And two, you're not going to beat the market, and the return's actually quite small. You probably shouldn't put your money in with a financial investor unless you have tons of money and you actually need them to manage it because it's complicated. You should just track a simple index fund and just leave it in and focus on, if you want to get rich, focus on earning, focus on your income. That's something I think the majority of people don't know. You thought you were just getting tips about how to grow your buys and tries. Here I am rambling. Yeah.
If you were a girl for the day, what would you do first?
Fuck my own tits.
Yeah, 'cause you're a girl.
Right, I don't have a cock.
Try again.
Oh my God. That's a tough question. I mean, I would probably, yeah, for sure. I'd explore around down there. I'd try to, so am I just like transplanted? Like I'm still me and then I'm in a girl's body for a day and then I'm back to me? Like it's just like a reconnaissance. I would spend probably most of the day just trying to find the clit. Wrap that fucking adventure up. Yeah. Boys, I found it. Here's the map. I turned it into a schematic that can be reproduced. All of us can replicate this, all right? Here's the pathway to find the treasure. So I would just...
He knows who the clit is.
Hey, there you go. Sometimes. Depending on the day. Yeah, that's my answer. It's probably enough before I incriminate myself any further.
What consistently brings you joy?
Arm pumps, EDM, pre-workout. Fucking love that shit.
Happy place.
Oh my God. Just attacking the weights, obliterating myself, maxing it out like a freaking animal let out of a cage, getting a sick arm pump. EDM is just, and I'm like on like 200 milligrams of caffeine. Woo-hoo-hoo! Just feeling good. Yeah. 3 reasons why. Wow. I feel like just electronic dance music in general, even if I'm not working out or listening to caffeine, just amps me up. I get chills and I'm just like revved. So that'd be 1. 2 would be, I think, pushing myself to the physical limit in something activates like a primal feeling of being alive, because I'm physically testing. Like I enjoy like pushing myself to the very brink. It makes me feel, it makes me feel more alive. It makes me feel more like grounded in my body to be like maxing myself out physically somehow, because there's no real test for survival generally on a day-to-day basis. So I think there's something like deeper, primal or whatever that makes me feel alive there. And then maybe just like looking in the mirror and seeing my freaking biceps bulging. I'm like, hell yeah. That's, yeah.
So kind of piggybacking again. What are you passionate about?
Getting sick arm pumps, listen to EDM, drinking pre-workout. What am I? No, I mean, I don't want to duplicate my answer. I would like something that maybe people wouldn't know is like relationship dynamics. I'm very passionate about, and I've spent a lot of time learning and educating, trying to understand women, and just learning and understanding the difference between masculine and feminine energy, all the ways that it manifests, and the whole world of dating and intersexual dynamics, and why women want this, why men want that, and it's a fascinating topic that maybe not as much now, but like the previous like 2 or 3 years, I was like in a deep dive, just consuming any and all content. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of information out there about that nowadays. I think that I would want to say that a lot of it is like maybe misconstrued. Like people are like responding to symptoms and connecting dots that like just, they don't really add up. There's just like a correlation. Like for example, this idea that like, you know, for guys at least, there's a lot of like information that like if you make more money, if you're in good shape, if you're tall, if you're fucking have social status, those things produce like more options with women. I think the problem is that's like a male perception of what's going on, in that there is some correlation between those metrics that you'd measure in people and them having more success with women, whether that be getting married, having 30 fuck buddies, but they have more options regardless. But I think that there's actually like a masculine energy that is like more, would probably produce more results or more success, that if men get more in touch with like some of their internal masculine desires that are just like completely subdued and dormant from our like modern way of living, where there isn't an easy way for a man to like plug into the system, where it's like get a simple physical job to extract resources, and then given your biology being superior to the females in most cases, you're there to extract these resources and provide protection for your family. And men get a lot of fulfillment out of that. But in today's modern world, it's like really difficult to like, how do you like do that? You know? And so I think a lot of guys are like lost, and then they're completely out of touch with like what it is to be a man. And I don't have the whole answer, but I think once you start to uncover some of those things and tap into that, you realize you have this like internal masculine furnace that was just like shut down. And when you activate that, it's highly likely that if you're doing well as a person, you will produce a bunch of these metrics, in that you're probably going to earn decent money. You're probably going to have social status. You're probably going to look physically healthy. You're probably going to feel confident out in the world. And then as a result, more women will be interested in you. But a lot of people go for the metrics first, and then they get a bunch of money or they get a bunch of social status, but they're still a little pussy underneath. And yeah, and like women will use them for their money, but they're not actually attracted. They're not like internally in their bodies attracted to this guy because he did this little checklist. Because underneath, he doesn't really feel like tapped into his masculinity, which has nothing to do directly with trying to attract more women. I would say that's like a byproduct of it, of if you are actually in closer touch with your masculine energy, women will find you more attractive because you're a more reliable, more attractive person to partner with.
Inherent, like genetic.
Yeah, like I think women can just sense it. Like, oh, this guy is like strong. He's capable of doing stuff, and he believes in himself, and he's not putting on an act. And like no amount of money or fame is necessarily going to instill that in you. So anyways, that's my like 2 cents there. Just like, I think it is unfortunate that the message being put out is like, just become richer and more famous and you'll get bitches.
Say that sometimes the pursuit of those things will help develop things.
Yeah. It's better than just sitting on your ass doing nothing. Like, it's a better alternative than just sitting around jerking off doing nothing all day. Is to be like, well, if I actually get rich and get famous, which is going to force you to develop yourself in some way, shape, or form, that will probably develop or ignite your internal masculine expression to some degree. But I think it's still not an ideal case. It's better than doing nothing, because some people end up there and they've got a bunch of money and they've got a bunch of fame and they're still a fucking pussy and they still don't have success with women. And now women are just using them and they're getting surface level interactions. Right, but the women realize, oh, this guy's like totally a weak little bitch still. He just found a way to make a bunch of money and get some social notoriety. And so I would say the guy still isn't happier and the women that are around him aren't happier. You know, it's better than doing nothing for sure. But I think it's just like misleading and in some cases could be counterproductive to tell like young men, like, this is why you're lonely, jerking off, nobody's interested in you, is because you don't have money and fame. And once you get money and fame, then you'll have a bunch of women. I was like, I just don't think that's a good message. And yeah. So anyways, that's my rant. But
What is, kind of touched on it, but just to like go deeper, what is something that is beautiful about masculine energy, but people maybe misunderstand about it?
The first thing that comes to mind is the masculine energy desires to sacrifice itself for true feminine energy. And so an act of like protection and true and sacrifice might be something like, if a woman needs help getting off a bus, or if there's some creepy guy following a woman and another guy sees and he goes and like tells her about it. A lot of times women will see that as like sexist, or they'll see it as like something negative, and it's understandable because there are a lot of pieces of shit guys that you can't trust. But the idea that the masculine energy is toxic, it's truly the very opposite. And the problem is that women are perceiving like wounded masculinity as real masculinity. It's not. Wounded masculinity acts as if it's strong and competent, but seeks to take advantage of you and looks for weakness. And that's what a lot of women are reacting negatively to. And then the whole toxic masculinity term, this aggressive nature that's toxic. True masculinity is not that. True masculinity actually looks to make you feel safe, provide and protect for women. And I think the thing women don't realize is that the masculine energy is deeply selfless, in that it's more important for the woman to survive than the man. And any man, I think, who's in touch with his internal masculine energy would feel that and would be quick to sacrifice his own safety and life to protect a woman that he loves, or maybe a woman that he doesn't even know. That's what I'm saying. Like I didn't really come up with great examples, but like out in public, like guys will do something to help a woman or potentially protect her that they don't even know, that puts them partially at risk. And they may even think about it and question why they did that later. Right? And it's unfortunate that there's a lot of wounded masculinity in the world now that's tainting that view, because the true masculine strength is like one of the most beautiful things that it's just not as common and women can't trust it. But when it is there, it literally will sacrifice itself. If a woman is, in her feminine essence, the masculine energy will sacrifice itself for the feminine to continue to exist if it came to. And without even a logical thought process. I get chills thinking about it. It's just in you as a man, especially if it's like a woman you're in love with, or you're trying, like, you will, without thinking, it's like, I die, you live, no question. If that's the choice, or if there's like a physical danger, like, I'm here to block it, and like I'm not gonna strategize and try to like no, like just full blast. And I think just the problem is most women haven't experienced that in their life, so there's no way for them to see it to know. And then they see, like, maybe they've seen glimpses of it, but they confuse it as this other toxic masculinity that fakes as if it's there to help them and protect them, and really it's just there to take advantage of them and fuck them and never talk to them again, or whatever it may be, right? So then all masculinity gets labeled as toxic. And I think that's problematic because masculine energy is afraid to be masculine, and in its true essence, it is extremely effective at controlling the environment that we live in and extracting resources and developing walls of protection for humans to exist in, and women and children and other men. It does that selflessly to a degree. I'm not saying that men are selfless, but the masculine energy in its pure form, I believe, is there to find ways to pull resources out of the environment to provide protection for the women, children, and community with which it exists. And it does it in a largely selfless way. And it's very powerful at that. And that's, I would say, you could attribute to a lot of, like, when you look around the world today, like, humans are dominating the planet, maybe not in a good way. Part of that is, like, true masculine energy is, like, very effective at controlling the environment and finding ways to extract resources. And that's in some ways a beautiful thing, but it's just tainted because there's also evil in the world, and there's also guys that are pieces of shit that look like they're masculine, but they're not. Yeah.
Would you say, so what is something about feminine energy that you find to be beautiful but is often misunderstood?
I think that the main thing is that what I would say it's mostly to do with what women provide doesn't provide as initially monetary value within our culture and our society. So therefore it's not valued as high. So a woman who, let's say she's a stay-at-home mom and there's 3 kids at home and the guy goes out and works and brings in the money. The value that the woman provides, given that she's healthy and doing a good job, in the same way that if the guy was healthy and doing a good job bringing money in, is equal, or if not more. It's just not monetarily valued. And I think that's, like, a big part of the problem. Yeah, overlooked, and that's what led to feminism, is a lot of women were like, we're... Yeah, because we're providing just as much value, but the guy doesn't. The guy will be like, come home, be like, well, what did you even do? Like, you don't even make any money. I make all the decisions. I make all the money. Like, what are you even doing? And then I think that just built up this, like, trauma and resistance from women over, like, many decades. And I mean, if you want to go back into human history, it's probably been there forever. And then, women kind of lashing back out in the Western world over more recent decades, being, to be like, fuck you guys. Like, we want autonomy. Like, we don't want to be... like, you weren't valuing what we were providing, which I think is more in line with what feminine energy wants to do, which is to be a caretaker, to be a lover, to create a nest and a home for the family. And it doesn't necessarily want to go out and assert and, like, extract resources and think logically and have things in boxes. It's flowy. It's everywhere at once and nowhere. And that's a beautiful energy that you need to raise children with, that you need to have a beautiful home. You can't just have a man's brain just logically putting things in boxes. Like, it's not going to be as good. You complement that with the feminine, watery, everywhere fluidness. I think that's how you create good humans. You need both of them. You need the structure of masculinity, and you need the loving, wild flowingness of femininity. That's what humans are. And so in an ideal sense, both values are respected. And as the economy and as, like, our culture has become more modernized, the male value was respected because there's a monetary value on it, but the female value was not. And then I think that's what birthed feminism and this revolt. And then as a result, this shame around being, like, a feminine woman, which, like, yeah, now it's going the other way where, like, men, there's, like, nothing for them to plug into. So men aren't masculine and women aren't feminine. They're more masculine than they've ever been. And it's this whole thing. And I think for most women, I could be wrong, but I think they would probably desire or be most happy if they could be feminine and be in that. It doesn't mean not work at all, but maybe they prefer, like, a family. Like, most women dream about getting married and having kids, right? Like, that's like a dream, right? Like, that's like, this is what I want in my life more than anything, So it's like, that kind of tells you, it's like, okay, like, obviously it's very important to you. And that's like maybe one of the main roles you want. Maybe you want to work part-time. Maybe you want to, pursue some other things. And doesn't mean you're not capable, but raising children, being the primary caregiver is like extremely demanding role that needs to be valued in the same way that a guy that like gets his shit together and is all independent and brings in all this money and he's on top of his shit and ideally he's like, building positive characteristics and he's a good man. That needs to be valued the same as like a woman who's like feminine and like, I really want to be a mother and provide this feminine caregiving aspect for our family. Like the two need to be seen as the same value. I think that's the issue, because then I think a lot of women would be given permission to lean into that. Now everybody's different, everybody's an individual, but I think a lot of women would be more happier if they were given the permission and being like, you are valued by, creating a household, taking care of the household, and being a mother. If that's what you want, if that's what you desire, that's just as valuable as a fucking multimillionaire entrepreneur dude, which is like what is like on a fucking pedestal nowadays. Like those two things, if you do a good job at that, those are the same thing. If you guys pair up, if you guys want to be a couple and start a family together, those are equal. I think if people looked at it like that, there wouldn't be as much misunderstanding of feminine energy, and I think there would be, and there wouldn't be as much misunderstanding of both energies. I think both, on average, people would be happier living like that. Obviously, everyone's different. Doesn't mean some women want a certain career and that's their dream and they want to do that. Like everyone's an individual, but just women not plugging into the economy directly and not getting like a monetary dollar value for their efforts has led to what they provide in the house in a more traditional marriage being devalued, and then as a result, women feeling ashamed, and then men not seeing that as valuable. And I think that's what's misunderstood. Yeah. And if you appreciate it and like take the time to, like, for most men, like a common thing would just be like, she's crazy, right? And it's like what I realize, if you take the time to, like, some people are crazy, but if you take the time to like understand this woman or these women that you've dealt with and like really deeply try to digest like how they feel internally in the same way of like how you feel internally as a man, and you go and talk with all your buddies and you guys agree on everything. Women, they go and talk with their friends and they agree on everything. If you take the time to like try to actually absorb that, you'll see that she's not crazy, and like her desires are very reasonable and should be respected, and probably different than what you thought she actually wanted. Rant over. Mic drop. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, or I just get canceled. Like to me that sounds reasonable, but I almost guarantee, like, I don't know how many people will make it through this whole video, but like I almost guarantee somebody's gonna get pissed about something I said there. Yeah.
But I guess, like, disclaimer, not everybody needs to fit in a box, but the original wound was the lack of celebration of either role.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't, there's so many fucking men and so many women. It's like you don't have to fit, not everyone's the same. Yeah. But the lack of respect for, like, let's say on average what most men desire and what most women desire is a big part of the problem. And then you get a misunderstanding of what a lot of women feel internally with their like feminine expression, and you get a misunderstanding of what most men feel internally with their masculine expression. And having more like grace and appreciation for that, I think, would solve a lot of the issues with like sexism, feminism, relationship problems. Like if you just go, this person is not me. Like she has her whole own set of desires. And same thing, if you go, this guy is not me. He has his whole own set of desires. And I'm not here to demonize them and criticize them. I want to understand why he feels that way. If you go in like that, you'll see that that person who feels completely different than you actually has very reasonable reasons for it. And you guys could find common ground. But you just got to step out of yourself. A lot of people don't want to do that. So.
What do you spend most of your time thinking about?
Right now, I spend a lot of time thinking about content, social media, how to sell more ARM programs. Buy the ARM program, baby. I spend time thinking about like politics and like trying to figure out what the truth is with everything that's going on with this like information age, where it's like there's all these different echo chambers, and try to figure out what the real dynamics are that's going on with the government and all this like unrest. Who's actually telling the truth? I think about that quite a bit. What else do I think about? I don't know. I think about like trying to push myself to achieve more physically and like what that requires, and I reflect on the process quite a bit. I think about you. I think about what's going on in your life and what you need. I love you too. Yeah.
What are you most afraid of?
Like in a practical sense, I would say like just being unhealthy. Like it's very easy for me to develop unhealthy habits with technology. Like I'm obsessive and like get fixated on things. And so I'm always like trying to be cautious of like, because I've been down paths where like with social media in particular in the past, like I was addicted to TikTok, like consuming or producing content for TikTok, which like most people would relate to the consumption, but the producing has its own angle of addiction. And the algorithms are geared to suck people in to producing content as well by giving you these huge dopamine hits when something like goes viral. Like that can kind of rewire your brain chemistry. There's a lot of different things I've done when I was working as a video editor, even with school. Like I just like can deteriorate my physical health very easily. It's like very natural for me to just get utterly consumed in something. And I see lots of other people do it and they just like, they don't mind and they just say, oh, whatever, I'm just going to be in I think in life, one thing that's like an objective truth for me is that like a healthier life is a better life. Sorry. You know, whereas like how do you define success? How do you define happiness? Like it's so hard to say. There's all these different opinions, but I don't think anybody's out there really arguing that like a less healthy life is a better life. That's a tough argument. Maybe if you sacrifice your health for like something else, you could say it's a better life. But to me, that's like a pretty like ironclad truth. So it's like, how do you make your life better? Well, get healthier. What are you unhappy about? Like, well, what are you unhealthy about? And if you were just healthy, you might not feel unhappy. And if you try to rearrange your circumstances, but you still persist these unhealthy habits, chances that you're going to just waking up and feeling good goes more further than anything else. if you don't have any like,
Your ability to enjoy
yeah.
your bandwidth of your ability to enjoy.
I think it's pretty simple. That's my take. So it's like if you can find ways to just live healthier and have healthier habits, your chance of like feeling good about your life goes way up. And like I have a susceptibility to getting immersed into things where I sacrifice my habits and become unhealthy. So that's what I'm like constantly like afraid of or cautious of. Yeah.
What would be like a weird fear?
Oh, the open ocean. The open ocean. Being stuck in the open ocean on like a floating raft. You can't see any land around you. Can't see nothing. It's just like you're stuck out there at mercy of the ocean. Fuck. That's my deepest fear for sure.
All right,
Final question.
Super intense.
Okay.
What's your favorite ice cream?
How many times did I poop today? My favorite ice cream is probably a Score Oreo Blizzard from Dairy Queen.
Ooh, yeah.
Scoreo. Mix the two things together. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have questions for the next video.
Ranted and rate part 2. If you guys liked it, leave a comment. You want to hear me ramble on about random shit? I feel like I talked about a lot of random shit. I don't know if it made sense. Made plenty of sense.
If it don't make sense, then they
Yeah.
can ask some questions.
I just want to do something different. It's like talking about the technical aspects of training your arms every day. It's like, let's mix it up. What are you doing? What? What's the freaking cameraman doing? What the hell is this? Thanks for watching. Make sure you sign up for the ARM program. Don't be a pussy. Supersize your freaking pipes. Look, he's doing it. He's on the ARM program. He's a fake natty too. He's lying about he's juicing. Look at him. Look at that guy. He's got fake natty written all over his face. Oh my gosh. He got so high. Ate a piece of weed outside, we think. And he was just tweaked all night. Just eyes popping out of his head.
Mommy got no sleep.
Levette thought he was high. ate a little butt of a joint or something. Poor guy didn't know where he was. Just looking back and forth, hallucinating, who knows? Oh my gosh, okay.
Thank God he's okay.
Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.